Next, we'll move on to hereditary hemolytic anemias, the most important of which is hereditary spherocytosis. Hereditary hemolytic anemias. Under hereditary hemolytic anemias, the first will be seeing hereditary spherocytosis. This hereditary spherocytosis occurs because of defect in red cell membrane. Hereditary hemolytic anemias is an inherited disorder. The normal biconcave shape, the structure, the strength and flexibility of RBCs are maintained mainly because of major proteins. Among these major proteins, you have to remember at least spectrin, ankyrin, band 4.1 and band 3. So, any deficiency of the membrane protein will affect the red cell membrane. As a result, what happens? There is distortion of the red cells, and these red cells become spherocytes, elliptocytes or stomatocytes, etc. Of this, the most common is your hereditary spherocytosis. And among the main protein defects, ankyrin defect is more common than band 4.1, which is more common when compared to spectrin, So, under hereditary hemolytic anemias, they are inherited disorders of which the membrane defect is due to, because of the membrane defect, we have got hereditary spherocytosis, elliptocytosis and stomatocytosis. Of this, hereditary spherocytosis is the commonest, and the normal biconcave shape, the flexibility of the RBCs are mainly maintained by means of certain proteins. These proteins are ankyrin, spectrin, band 4.1 and band 3. Of these, ankyrin defect is more common when it is compared to band 4.1, which is more common when it is compared to spectrin. Because of this protein defect, what happens? There is decrease in the flexibility of the RBCs. So, when these RBCs are exposed to shearing stresses, fragments of red cell membranes are lost. There is reduction in the cell surface to volume ratio, means MCV is reduced in these patients. The mean corpuscular volume is reduced in these patients. So, these red cells, they become spherocytes. Spherocytes are small cells without a central paler, means the whole cell appears hemoglobinized, whereas a normal RBC has got central 1/3 paler. Whereas a spherocyte, the size is low, small compared to a normal RBC. Also, the central part is not, there is no paler in the central part. The whole spherocyte looks completely hemoglobinized. Moving on to the mechanism of hemolysis in hereditary spherocytosis. What happens when the cells become a spherocyte? What is lost? The flexibility and deformability of the red cells are lost. So what happens? These cells are not able to pass to the venous sinusoids of spleen. What happens when they're not able to pass the venous sinusoids of spleen? Two things can happen. Suppose this is a blood vessel in the spleen. What is the normal shape of RBC? Biconcave shape. So these biconcave RBCs, they are able to pass through the venous circulation. But if it is a spherocyte, what happens? These cells are so rigid that they're not able to pass through. So what happens? There is aggregates of spherocytes resulting in hemostasis, and also these spherocytes are phagocytosed by macrophages in the spleen. What happens when these spherocytes are eaten up by the macrophages in the spleen? This will result in extravascular hemolysis. What happens if there is extravascular hemolysis? They'll be presenting with anemia. And what type of anemia it is? Hemolytic anemia. So there is reticulocytosis. And because of so much of destruction taking place in the spleen, these patients will be presenting with splenomegaly. So the mechanism of hemolysis in hereditary spherocytosis, once these cells as they become a spherocyte, that is reduced in the flexibility and deformity of red cells, what happens? They won't be able to pass through the splenic sinusoids, the venous sinusoids of spleen. So what these cells are getting trapped. Aggregates of spherocytes are formed. Two things can happen. One, they will result in erythrostasis. The other thing, these cells are phagocytosed by the macrophages. So once they are phagocytosed by macrophages, this will result in extravascular hemolysis. Because of extravascular hemolysis, these patients will presenting with anemia, and in any type of hemolytic anemia, there is increase in the retic count. So they'll be presenting with reticulocytosis. As these cells are phagocytosed by macrophages in the spleen, there will be increase in the size of spleen, resulting in splenomegaly. So how do these patients present with? They will be presenting with anemia, increase in unconjugated bilirubin. So they will be presenting with jaundice. Because of so much of hemolysis, increase in the size of the spleen, they will be presenting with splenomegaly. In addition, they also will be presenting with gallstones as well as leg ulcers. Now we'll move on to the diagnosis. What are the investigations you will do? You have to do the blood investigations. The blood investigations, hemoglobin is reduced, mean corpuscular volume is reduced. Why MCV is low? Because these cells have got low surface area to volume ratio. So they assume the smallest possible diameter, resulting in lower volume of the RBC. So the mean corpuscular volume is low. There is no central pallor. So the RBC appears completely hemoglobinized. So the MCH is normal. MCHC is MCH divided by MCV. So this is increased. So with reduced MCV, with normal MCH, MCHC, if it is increased, that is seen in hereditary spherocytosis. In peripheral smear, what you will see? You will be seeing microspherocytes. What are microspherocytes? They are small RBCs without central pallor. So microspherocytes are positive, means small RBCs without central pallor. Hereditary spherocytosis. These spherocytes are uniform in size and density. Reticulocytosis is present. Moving on to the bone marrow, what happens? Hypercellular marrow with erythroid hypoplasia. There is hypercellular marrow with erythroid hypoplasia. And other blood investigations, it's a hemolytic anemia. So serum bilirubin level will be more, serum LDH level will be more, serum haptoglobin level will be less, but the haptoglobin level won't be so less because here the hemolysis is taking place in the spleen. So only if it is intravascular hemolysis, the serum haptoglobin levels will be so low. Since it is extravascular hemolysis, the serum haptoglobin levels will be low, but not as much as compared to intravascular hemolysis. Since it's a hereditary spherocytosis, it is an inherited disorder. So these patients will be having a positive family history. So the clinical features, they'll be presenting with anemia, jaundice, splenomegaly and gallstones. The blood investigations, hemoglobin will be low, mean corpuscular volume will be low, MCH will be normal. As a result, MCHC will be increased. Peripheral smear, you'll be seeing microspherocytes. They're nothing but small RBCs without any central pallor. In hereditary spherocytosis, spherocytes are of uniform size and density. In any hemolytic anemia, the reticount will be high. So these patients will be presenting with reticulocytosis, bone marrow, hypercellular marrow with erythroid hypoplasia. Since it is an inherited disorder, there is positive for family history. We'll move on to another test, which is osmotic fragility test. Osmotic fragility test. What do we do here? We take series of test tubes and we fill these test tubes with hypotonic saline. We fill these test tubes with hypotonic saline. In the first test tube, in the second series of, we have to take two series of test tube. In the first series of test tube, we should add a drop of normal person's blood to each of the test tube. In the second series, we have to add a drop of blood from hereditary spherocytosis patients. And the different range of these hypotonic salines, it's 2.2%, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5 up to 0.9. The same thing continues here, 0.2 to 0.9. In normal person, the normal shape of RBC is biconcave shape. So when this hypotonic saline solution enters into the RBC, these RBCs gradually get swollen up. It takes longer time for the normal biconcave RBC to become spherical in shape, and finally these RBCs gets ruptured, that is they get hemolyzed. But in hereditary spherocytosis, what happens? These cells are already spherical in shape. So when little amount of water enters into the cell, what happens? Very early, these cells begins to hemolyze. So in hereditary spherocytosis patients, hemolysis starts appearing as early as 0.8%, and by 0.6% complete hemolysis would have happened. But in normal persons, this doesn't take place. The hemolysis starts to appear either from 0.6% or 0.5%. But whereas in hereditary spherocytosis, 0.8% itself hemolysis starts appearing, and by 0.6% complete hemolysis takes place. The osmotic fragility test is increased in case of hereditary spherocytosis. Hereditary spherocytosis has to be differentiated from other conditions where you will see spherocytes such as autoimmune hemolytic anemia in case of burns or in case of G6PD deficiency. In all these conditions, spherocytes are present, but these spherocytes are of different shape. Whereas in hereditary spherocytosis, the microspherocytes are of uniform in shape. What is the treatment? you have to do splenectomy. If you do splenectomy, what happens? The anemia gets corrected. Spherocytosis still persists, but the lifespan of RBCs can be increased. So to summarize, hereditary spherocytosis is an inherited disorder. It is because of membrane defect. Ankyrin deficiency is most common. Peripheral smear, you'll be seeing microspherocytes. These microspherocytes are smaller RBCs without any central pallor. It's a hemolytic anemia. So patient will be presenting with anemia, jaundice, splenomegaly, and also other features of hemolytic anemia such as reticulocytosis will be there, and osmotic fragility is increased in these patients. When you do splenectomy, the anemia can be corrected, but these patients are more susceptible for infections, and splenectomy is contraindicated in children less than 5 years of age. And moving on to the parameters, the hemoglobin is low, MCV is reduced, MCH is normal, so MCHC is increased. This finishes a discussion about hereditary spherocytosis.